Okay, this is the second homework on this page. You should have already filled in this side. If you haven't, go back and do that homework. But here we are talking about angles formed by transversals. And this word basically means goes through other lines. Right? To transverse, I go through something, I move through it. Transversals will go through other lines. So right here when it says name that transversal, you're telling which line both of these angles are on. So I'd look over here, I'm looking at angle 1 and angle 12. Angle 1's right there, angle 12 is right here. Angle 1 would be on the line J. Angle 12 would be on the line K, but the only line that they're both on is line L. So that transversal line there would be line L. 3 and 6 are going to do the same thing. 3 is there, 6 is there. They're both on line J. So that would be line J. 7 and 15. 7's here, 15 is here. They're both on line M. 12 and 14. 12, 14, both on line K. So those are basically what my transversals are. So you're going to have 4 different types of angles that go along with that. When we talk about parallel lines, these are going to have some special properties. They'll actually all be congruent, which that means that we can just set them equal to find out what something's worth. But here, since these are not parallel, you're just going to be telling me which ones are whatever they are. So we've got corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive interior angles. So I'm going to come back to corresponding because that's a little easier to see once you've seen the other ones. Alternate interior, we should be able to figure out what this means based on the words. Alternate goes back and forth. Interior, inside. So let's find some alternate interior angles. If I look in between the lines L and M, I'll have some interior angles, right? That'd be 3, 4, 11, 12, 5, 6, 13, and 14. They're all inside these two angles. Oh, lines, sorry. Now, what the alternate means is going to go back and forth, so we're going to use this transversal J, and the alternate angles between here would be angle 3 and angle 6, or angle 5 and angle 4. So let's do angle 3 and angle 6. They're in between the lines L and M, and they're on the transversal J. So 3 and 6 would be alternate interior there. Let's go ahead and do another. I'm going to write 2 of them down for each, and I'm going to ask you to come in with 2 more written for each one. Let's see. Let's do another line here. We'll use the transversal M this time, which means that it goes between the lines J and K. So I have to use these numbers. It has to be in between J and K. So the numbers in between are 6, 8, 13, and 15. And then I alternate, so I could have 6 and 15, or 8 and 13. Let's do 8 and 13. Angle 8 and angle 13. Those would be alternate interior. Let's do alternate exterior. So let's go back to this same line right here where I have J and K and the transversal M. And we're just going to forget this is here every time that we have 2 things because I'm not talking about this side right now. And this is the reason I'm showing you on an example that has these so you know that I'm only talking about one at a time. So we've got alternate exterior. We already know what alternating is, right? It goes back and forth. One's on one side of the transversal, one is on the other. And exterior, we should know, means outside. So these are my 2 lines that I'm talking about. This is my transversal, so it has to be outside these lines. which means I can't use 6, 8, 13, or 15 this time, because they would be inside. Now I have 5, 7, 14, or 16. And then alternating, so either 5 and 16, or 14 and 7. Let's do 5 and 16. Let's go this way this time. So, these are the lines L and M, right? And let's go through this transversal K. So if I have the transversal K, it goes left and right. And L and M go up and down. And I'm going to look for the alternate exterior angles. Well, exterior means that it's outside here. I can't box it in, right? So 9, 10, 15, and 16 are my exterior angles. And the alternate ones would be 10, 15, or 9 and 16. I'm just going to write 9 and 16. And we'll move on to consecutive interior. If I have interior, we should already know what that means because I've already talked about that. So let's look at L and M again. My interior angles were 11, 13, 12, and 14. Because they were inside, in between L and M, right? So consecutive would mean on the same side, right? That would be 11 and 13. Or 12 and 14. Unlike these three, when I get to parallel lines, these are actually going to add to be 180, and we'll talk more about that later. But these three will all add to, or equal each other, whereas these will add to 180. Not now, just with parallel lines. Let's find another one. Right here. Once again, I need my interior angles, 6, 8, 13, and 15. And then I need consecutive, so on the same side. And let's do 8 and 15 because they are on the same side and inside. Okay. And we're going to go back to the beginning and do the corresponding angles. So I'm going to block this off again and just use the transversal M that goes through line J and line K. And the corresponding angles we know are going to be in the same place, right? Because we already know corresponding angles and triangles mean they're in the same place in the triangle. Here, that means the same place on my transversal. So 13 and 5 would be an example. 7 and 15 would be an example. They're on top of the line that my transversal went through, and they're on the right. 14 and 6 would be an example. They're on the left side and on the bottom. So I'm just going to pick a couple out. Let's do angle 5 and angle 7. And then we'll go over here and do some on the transversal K. Once again, 12 and 16 would be one because they're on the bottom and on the right. 13 and 9 would be a pair because they're on the top and on the left. So let's do 9 and 13. Then we've got some non-examples, stuff that isn't going to work. So really you can put anything you want here that isn't going to be one of these things. So let's look at 16 and 6. 16 is on the bottom of K. These are still like on the same transversal, right? They're on the same two lines. But they don't really have anything in common. There's none of these special rules, special words that will talk about these two angles together. So those are a non-example. They don't fit any of my qualifications. 16 is outside, 6 is inside, which means I can't do any interior or exterior. And the only thing that I could do is corresponding, but this is on the right, that is on the left. I'll give you one more non-example. Let's go this way this time. And let's do 15 and 12. Alright, 15 is on the outside, 12 is on the inside. So it can't be interior, exterior, interior because they're in the opposite places. The only thing it could be is corresponding, right? And then this is not on the same side as 12. This is on top, this is on bottom, so they definitely do not match. So like I said, I'd like for you to finish this out. Give me at least 2 more examples of each one. I think I've actually given you these 3 examples. And go ahead and give me 2 more non-examples so you have those for your notes.